Good evening and welcome to the Wakefield School Committee meeting of Tuesday, December 12th, 2017. We'll begin by calling this meeting to order and reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And as always, we'll read the mission statement of the Wakefield Public Schools. The vision of the Wakefield Public Schools is to graduate students who are confident, lifelong learners, who are respectful and caring members of their community. Our mission is to prepare students for college, career, and community by providing rich and challenging curriculum, high-quality instruction, and educational experiences that meet their individual needs and interests. And with that, we're in our public comment period. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak tonight? Okay, seeing none, we will move directly into our Student Advisory Council. Kaya.
So Thursday evening, the band and the orchestra have the winter concert at the Galvin Middle School. There's a half day tomorrow with a block order of A, E, G. The boys have their first varsity basketball game this Saturday. There's going to be a voter registration drive held for kids 16 and up every day next week at lunch, both lunches. And we, the Wakefield High School, were selected into the AP Honor Roll for the third time. This is their 8th annual honor roll. So basically what that means is we've been able to expand opportunities for kids to take more AP classes while also maintaining the high standard of doing well on the exams.
Great. Anything for Kaya tonight?
So this is a quick question. Is this the first time we've done a voter registration drive?
Yep, I think it is. This is new.
Exciting.
Yeah,
Great.
it's going to be good.
How can you register at 16, though?
You can be registered. Well, you can register to vote, like pre-register at 16.
Register to register.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Register to register.
Great.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you, Kaya. Okay, consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the November 28th, 2017 school committee meeting as presented?
Excuse me, so moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Nothing for chairman's comments tonight. We're going to skip over budget items just as we wait for our business administrator, and I will turn things over to Dr. Smith.
Great. So the first two items on my list are actually connected. First, we're going to talk a little bit about some student leadership initiatives, and I'm so pleased to have some guests with us here tonight. They have some of their parents and Principal Colin Tony supporting our students. And in your packet, I included the WPS strategy for social emotional health and learning, and one of the commitments to cultivating safe, welcoming, and healthy schools is initiative number 5, where we talk about student leadership programming that empowers students at all grade levels to really, create that safe and welcoming environment. And so we have some great examples with us tonight. 2 feature groups tonight are our peer or diversity leaders and our youth action teams from both the Galvin Middle School and Wakefield Memorial High School. So why don't we start by inviting the Galvin students up with Principal Colin Tony. Kaya, do you mind swinging over here while the Galvin students talk to us? And I'll have the students introduce themselves and the group that they represent, and maybe a little bit about what they're doing, their mission, and then an opportunity for the school committee to interact with them.
So, my name is Kendall Burke. I'm in the 7th grade, and I'm part of the Youth Action Team. And our mission is to promote a healthy lifestyle among Wakefield communities.
My name is Josh. I'm in 8th grade, and I'm in the Youth Action Team. And our goal is to promote healthy lifestyles for everybody in the Galvin.
Hi, I'm Melita Kelleher. I'm in 8th grade, and I'm part of the Peer Leader Program. Our initiative is to spread diversity and promote kindness for all of the 5th and 6th graders.
Hi, I'm Diego. I'm also in the 8th grade, and I'm also part of the peer leader program. And yeah, definitely we try to spread acceptance amongst everyone in our school.
I'm Principal Colatoni. Super proud of our students and the groups they're representing, and it's been a pleasure really watching them blossom as leaders in our school, and just really proud of the work they're doing.
I'd like to hear a little bit about what the Youth Action Team is doing. Maybe you can talk about a few of those things. And then we're really excited that the Diversity Leader Program that has been long at Wakefield High School, supported by the Anti-Defamation League in Boston, is now at our Galvin Middle School in the Peer Leader Program. So could each group tell a little bit about what you've been doing?
Okay. So right now we are currently working on a fundraiser for after holiday vacation to just kind of get everyone back into the swing of school and make it more of a positive experience to come back from vacation instead of a negative.
We're gonna have the students, they can write a positive message to another student, and we'll get sent off to them, and they can pay $1 if they want, and that money will go to a charity.
So last year, the 7th and 8th grade who were chosen to be peer leaders, we went to town hall and we got trained by someone who was picked from the Attention Defamation League to come and train us so we could go into the 5th grade classrooms and teach them about acceptance and diversity and anti-bullying.
Yeah, and since then, after break in January, we've been going into 5th grade classrooms and just doing some activities with them, the stuff that we learned at the program.
And the Youth Action Team really is kind of a model of the high school team. And just this past week, the high school Youth Action Team came down and spoke to all of our 7th grade about some healthy choices and positive decision making. So the high school team's a great model for our younger students at the middle school. And they do some other fun activities as well. The last few years, they've done just kind of some positive energy events. You guys want to talk about the Family Feud?
So every year we host a Family Feud event. So you gather a group of your friends and you come to the Galvin cafeteria after school, and basically we pull Galvin students to find the most popular answers to questions, and you and your friends have to guess the answer.
Yeah, and a couple weeks ago we did an Instagram contest, and it was GMS changing colors, and it was posting a picture that you stepped out of your comfort zone, and then we as the Youth Action Team, we judged them, and the winner just won a gift card for being different and stepping out of their comfort zone.
Excellent. And in the presentations to the 5th and 6th graders, what are some examples of what you're teaching them, or maybe some of the activities that you do with them?
So one of the activities that we did was called Breaking the Ice, and we had a piece of paper that had 1 star in the middle and 5 stars on the outside, and in the middle we wrote something that we represented
I think it was your name.
Yeah, in the middle, name in the middle, and then on the 5 stars on the outside, 5 words that represented you. You could say athlete, sister, and then a bunch of other things that represented you. And you stood up when you heard your name got called, and you could see the other people standing up and recognize that more than one person in the group has stuff in common with you.
Yeah, we definitely did a bunch of icebreakers at the beginning just to get to know your classmates and be more comfortable. But then we kind of started to do deeper activities that kind of like that one, just to promote differences and stuff like that.
Anything from the speaker? Mr. Callahan? I've seen the different schools do programs where the positive messages get sent to their classmates. How are you going to deliver those messages? Are you going to put a note in their locker? Are you going to send it by email? Or how are you delivering the message?
We've thought of a couple of ideas so far. Some ideas would be going into classrooms and delivering them to students. Some ideas would be lockers, and that's as far as we've gotten with that so far.
What I've seen work in some other schools was someone can come into school in the morning and find this nice note on their locker. I think it made them feel good to start their day.
And something to explore.
Yeah.
I think that we did that. I think a couple girls in the 8th grade put a bunch of sticky notes on the lockers with positive messages.
Yeah.
And put them all around the lockers.
Yeah, I just think it's just a nice way to come to school and find this positive note on your lockers. It's a good way to start your day.
Have you guys found that you've changed or grown a little bit as a result of being a leader? In what ways?
Well, I definitely think that not just thinking in that way, but more like taking initiative and actually trying to change things and stand up for people. I think that's been a big one for me, rather than just thinking it.
I think that it's grown away in more than just school and sports and just in general, being able to stand up for yourself and not being able to stuff like that, standing up for yourself and not having people get into your face and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. People become more aware and they know what to say, and people are become nicer in the school around town.
It's gotten me more tied into the community. It's really exposed some of the problems that we're having, and we try our best as Youth Action Team to try to help them resolve these problems and prevent them as much as possible.
Thanks. I had one general question and then one specific question that kind of, the general one builds off these guys' question, but like my school committee colleagues, it's been a long time since I was in middle school, but one of the things I remember was that one of the hardest things was balancing between fitting in and being yourself, right, and trying to find your own, your true self, right, and it's hard when you're trying to, be part of a group, and so, is the Youth Action Team, does it really try to help kids who might otherwise kind of feel like they're on the fringes of social groups and try to make them feel more comfortable and fit in? And how do you do that? It's hard, I imagine.
I'll start. So that's kind of the idea behind our whole Instagram contest this year. So every year we come up with a different theme. And this year we really wanted to focus on the fact that some kids don't come out of their comfort zone a lot because they don't, they're scared to. So we just wanted to promote coming out of your comfort zone and pushing yourself to your limits.
Yeah.
A lot of people they wouldn't show what they do around their friends, but some people they think it's online, so nobody can really say anything bad to their face, so they just post it and they just come out on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And you made a great point. I think, all of us as adults reflecting on middle school, it is one of the hardest things is maintaining kind of sense of identity while fitting in with the crowd.
Right.
And what's great about the Youth Action Team is it's open to anyone who wants to attend. In the 7th and 8th grade, it's an open meeting. It's every Thursday after school. Ms. Souza, one of our health teachers, runs it.
Yeah.
And oftentimes when we come across students that you reference that are on the fringes, that's a great place where we encourage them to go check out because it's such an inclusive environment for them, and they can make connections with our students who are positive energy.
Yeah. Thanks. And then my specific question was, the other thing I remember was how hard it was to make the transition from your elementary school to middle school that first year when you're in a much bigger environment and you feel like a smaller fish in a bigger pond. And Kaya, remind me of the program at the high school. It's like a buddy system where an upperclassman mentors an underclassman. What's that called?
Student ambassador.
Student ambassador. Do you have something like that at the middle school? Does that help?
I think we do. I think we have a student mentoring program for people who are in 5th and 6th grade who might need a little bit more help on homework. So it's the 8th grade and the 7th grade. I'm actually not sure if the 7th grade is part of it, but the 8th graders I know go and help tutor the 5th graders who might need more help with their homework and stuff.
Well, you might consider expanding that with the mission of your group. In other words, helping kids trying to make that transition who may be having a hard time. Just a thought. So
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
thank you.
It's a great idea.
Excuse me, thank you. This is really impressive. And so a great congratulations to each of you and your team members. And as importantly to your parents, who I'm sure are incredibly proud of the young men and women that you've become and certainly will only continue to be. Wakefield schools are in great hands with such an impressive group of young people, incredibly well-spoken, which you should be very pleased about that. Not that there's lights and cameras or anything to be concerned about, but really very well-spoken and very impressive. You know your subject, and you're passionate about it. We can feel that sense of energy in the things that you're saying to us, and that's really meaningful. So congratulations for what you're doing, and certainly keep up the good work. You guys rock. Thanks.
Thank you.
So I want to echo Mr. Markham's point about your eloquence. I mean, I can only imagine. We always say, it's one thing when Mr. Colantoni says something to you, or when your parents or your teacher says something to you, but when you hear it from a peer, and when the person telling you something is one of your peers, it's just so much more impactful. And I think it's great, especially when you talk to the younger students, because you guys are you're rock stars to us, like Mr. Markham said, but you're really cool to them. So for you guys to be going down to them and speaking to them, that's where I think that real change, and like you said, making everybody more comfortable and bringing light to problems that are going on and changing things for the better, I think that's where it really happens. So I'm thankful to have you guys. So I'll echo my thanks and my hopes that we keep up the good work with this program. Great. Okay.
So thank you to their parents and to you kids for an amazing job. I also want to acknowledge Catherine Dingra, sitting there in the background, working with our youth action teams, both at the middle school and at the high school. Thank you, Catherine. So great job, you guys. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then why don't I welcome our high school guests up. We have the high school youth action team, the high school diversity leaders, and high school representative to the Human Rights Commission with us tonight. So similarly, if you guys don't mind introducing yourself, your name, your grade, what group you're representing, and then maybe just a little bit about what it looks like at Wakefield High School.
All right. Hi, I'm Kaya Carioli. I'm a senior.
I'm Billy. I'm a junior. Stevens. I'm Billy Stevens. I'm a junior.
I'm Tommy Lucy. I'm a senior. I'm part of the Wakefield Youth Action Team.
Hi, I'm Talal Aman. I'm a junior, and I'm the student representative to the Human Rights Commission.
Hi, I'm Lizzie Finn, and I'm part of the diversity leaders.
So I'll just talk a little bit about the Youth Action Team's mission. So we have this mission statement that's kind of like our elevator pitch that we talk about, growing positive flowers and shrinking negative weeds in our community. And when we talk about growing positive flowers, that's things like community involvement, healthy relationships, healthy lifestyles. And the negative weeds are things like underage binge drinking, drug use, marijuana use, things like that.
So some of the projects we've been working on, one of our main projects was the vaping videos that we made over the summer. So we developed 3 videos aimed at educating parents and teachers on vaping and just the harms of them, because there isn't much education out there right now regarding vaping devices, so we really wanted to pitch that message. So these 3 videos covered 3 different areas, such as the types of devices, harmful effects of the devices, and how students are obtaining them. As of last week, there were over 800 views on YouTube of these videos, so the word is getting out there, which is fantastic. So obviously these were aimed at parents and teachers, and what we've kind of been working on is getting videos out to students regarding this message. And one way the beginning stages of this has been our focus groups. So just last week, actually, we held a focus group for 7th and 10th graders. So for these focus groups, we were able to get a good cross-representation of 7th and 10th graders about what they know about vapes, the harms, the effects, how people can get them, what they know and what they don't know. And from this information from the focus groups, we'll be able to make our videos very effective to our students.
So like I think Mr. Colantoni mentioned, we actually presented to 7th and 8th, or just 7th graders this past week, and 8th graders coming up this next Monday. So we talked about things to them such as what's in a vape, peer pressure scenarios, things like you have a choice and to get involved, and that like most middle schoolers are actually not vaping. So we wanted to kind of get in touch with the 7th and 8th graders the way we get in touch with the 9th graders who are new to the high school. We talk to the 9th graders in their health classes. So in the semester that they're required to take health in 9th grade, we actually go in and do a presentation. It's like a Kahoot game. I don't know if any of you have heard, but it's just like an online quiz, and like you it's in real time and you choose answers, and so all the questions are related to like social media, mental health, substance abuse, things like that, just things that we think are important and things that we want to spread awareness about. And then also at the high school, we have the high school club, which is very similar to what the Galvin has at their school. So we do things like the bathroom buzz, which I have here. I can pass it down, actually. And we talk about the same things that we talk about when we go into the 9th grade health classes, just more in depth. And we do different projects around the school, such as like a social normings campaign, all based around some of our youth risk behavior survey results that we get. Also, what we have done at this club is we've piloted the first edition of the faculty newsletter. So this will be quarterly, and it is a way for us to reach out not only just to students but also to teachers and spread awareness about the things that we're trying to spread awareness about. And just a big thanks to Ms. Silva for helping us with this, and we're just looking to continue to improve and grow this club and continue to spread awareness.
Tala?
Hey, so yeah, again, I'm with the Human Rights Commission, and basically what the Human Rights Commission does is we try to educate the people of Wakefield on the importance of diversity, and we're also trying to make Wakefield a more welcoming town. And since I was appointed earlier this spring, we've done a lot of work and made a lot of progress in those fields. Since I was appointed, we started this campaign of selling the "Hate has no more" or "Hate has no home here" signs, and you might have seen those signs around Wakefield, and we've been selling them at all of our events, and these include like the farmers markets, and we've also had this event this past November, and it was the active bystander training, and we've been heavily involved in basically hosting events throughout the town to basically get the community of Wakefield engaged and open for discussion. And later this January, we're having what is now our annual Martin Luther King Day event, which we had last year, and it was a huge success. I'm on the event committee, so I'm helping plan some of that. And what we're going to do is basically invite a bunch of different leaders and try to, again, foster this mood and tone of diversity, and again, trying to make Wakefield a more welcoming town. And as the high school representative, we're trying to also connect the Human Rights Commission to what we're doing at the high school. And so we've been in contact with people like Ms. Burke, who is the head of the diversity program in Wakefield and at Wakefield High School. And hopefully we can continue our work at the high school and, again, foster this environment.
Thank you. So I'm Lizzie Finn. I'm from the Diversity Leaders. And Diversity Leaders is a unique program because it's an actual class. It's one of our electives. It's a 5-credit course. It's made up of 18 juniors and seniors. And our mission is to reduce stereotyping and prejudice, increase acceptance of differences and empathy for others, increase students' appreciation for their own individual differences, and help students become allies instead of being bystanders. This class is based on a curriculum called A World of Difference, which is led nationally by the Anti-Defamation League. We attend 2 full-day workshops led by ADL trainers every year. To become a diversity leader, it's quite a selective process. You have to be nominated by a current diversity leader or a teacher at the end of your sophomore year. You have to fill out an application, and if that's selected, you then have to go for an interview. So there's like 70 kids who get nominated, and only about 10 make it every year. And our main focus as diversity leaders is to facilitate activities and lessons in order to teach our message to everyone in our school community. We mainly do this by going into freshman and sophomore history classes every month. And when we're not preparing for our visits, we're discussing current events. We present every year at the ADL's Youth Congress in Boston, so we practice for that. We also organize school activities and like events and fundraisers. Like we just sold diversity stickers where 100% of the proceeds went to benefit victims of the Hurricane Maria and the Las Vegas tragedy, and we raised about $300.
Excuse me, anything from the committee? Mr. Liakos, please.
Thanks. I want to thank you all. What you're doing is really, really important, especially at this time when so much of our country feels divided. The work that you're doing to create a culture of diversity and inclusion is really, really important. You know, some of you and your middle school peers mentioned social media, and I just remembered a couple of months ago there was a study that made some correlations between the use of the frequency of use of social media, young people, and depression and anxiety. And of course, depression and anxiety often lead to substance abuse too. So there's this sort of vicious circle. And so, how do you guys manage, you know, both the difficult use of social media and try to kind of model good behavior in ways that try to meet some of the goals that you've articulated tonight?
Actually, so in our health class presentations to the 9th graders, we go over both social media use and mental health. And actually, one of the questions, if I remember correctly, is what should you do if you see someone posting things that concern you? So we like to emphasize these points, and after each question, we go over each one more in depth and give more insight personally and kind of peer-to-peer to kind of show them that it's not just something from the adults coming to them, it's something from us going to them.
Just going off of what Billy said, I think we also try to make social media a positive place. Mm-hmm. We have social media accounts for our youth action team, and I think the diversity program, there's a bunch of clubs and teams that also have social media accounts. And we post things regularly and try to lift the people who are doing good things in our community up and support people who are doing good things. So just trying to emphasize that social media can be used as a positive aspect of people's lives as well.
And for our program, we actually incorporate cyberbullying into when we go into classes. It's kind of one of our missions to help them be allies, not just in person, but also online. So I know actually today we had one of our activities where we just talk about social media and how it's different from how it used to be and kind of how they can step up and be leaders online and how to stand up if you see something that's not right or to have a positive, like they were saying, message on social media.
Thank you.
Mr. Callahan.
I guess my question is more about for the youth action team. I spent a lot of time this weekend with parents and students. I worked with the Jolly Jingle Express. I can't use that other term anymore. I don't want Warner Brothers to sue us. And the subject of vaping came up a lot. I heard from a lot of students that they don't feel like they can even use the bathroom because they go in there and they're going to come out stinking with the fumes, and it seems to be a growing problem and not a diminishing problem. So I guess my question is, what I know you're trying to take some action, but what help do you need? What would you like to do that you're unable to do? Does that come up, or am I putting you on the spot?
So we're definitely trying to get these videos out as quickly as possible to youth. We definitely would like more information what students think. I don't know how that would be possible, but we definitely need to get an idea of what students know and what students don't know, because it's kind of hard to, especially where in high school there isn't much curriculum regarding vaping, so I don't know if students are getting the type of education that they need on these types of devices. So definitely getting more information about what students know would be helpful.
also think promotion of the things that we're doing would be helpful. I don't know, like, to what extent people here can do that, but like we said, we talked about the videos a lot. We have videos that go out to parents, just sharing that on YouTube, on Facebook, whatever, something like that. We send out the faculty newsletter, stuff like that can be shared as well. So.
But do you think the parents know and they're condoning it, or you think that it's happening behind the parents' backs?
Well, we found that a lot of parents don't know. When we released the vaping videos, we went out and talked to members of our community, and we showed them what a vaping device was, like various ones, and most of them had no idea what any of them were. So we tried to show that there is a perception, like a less perception of harm with it. That's totally true. But there's also just a lack of knowledge surrounding vaping and like the nuances of it entirely.
I guess my question is, do you think the parents know they're vaping and think it's okay, or that the kids are doing it behind their backs?
I think it's a mixture of both.
Yeah.
I think there's a big misconception with vaping is better than smoking, which isn't necessarily true.
Right.
We have a lot of data behind that, and there's a lot of bad things that can happen with vaping. And like, for example, Juul Pod, which is something that you put into a Juul, which is a vaping device. It can be the equivalent of 20 cigarettes, which is about a pack of cigarettes. And this is one of the things that we actually presented this Monday to the 7th graders. And I think that the parents don't really understand the magnitude to which that these can be dangerous. I feel like they think that it's not as dangerous as it is, and that's a big part of the problem behind both like condoning it and not knowing.
But so if you think of things that you would like to do, but you don't think you have the wherewithal to do, I would like to hear about that and then see what we can do to help with it, because it seems like it's just, and it's not just here. I substitute in a different district. Just out of curiosity, I stuck my head in a laboratory between periods today, and there were like 5 of them right there, and they were quickly, hiding. And it was. I think it's a common problem, but I think we need to get on top of it, because the perception is just not there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's. I'd like to know what we can do to make a difference.
Thank you.
Maybe one suggestion, I do a parent and community newsletter monthly. If you'd like to share with me the link. I've actually saw the ones you did from the summer, they were very good. But when you get the new ones up, I'd be happy to share that link to your videos, to all the parents in the Wakefield Public Schools, and anything else from the Human Rights Commission and diversity leaders. If you guys want to send me things to put in there, I'd be more than happy to share out. Might be a nice communication piece.
I think maybe it might also be helpful if you could potentially send them to teachers.
Could do that as well.
Teachers may have just as much of a misconception around these devices as parents do.
Agreed. So I would be happy to do that. I have access to all of those groups, so I'd be very happy to do that.
Thank you.
Mr. Massey?
Yeah, I was really impressed with the work that you guys are doing in the middle school level as well. I think it's really, really important for the younger kids in the school to see this kind of work. And actually, I was looking through that flyer, and I thought that was really effective, actually. If I'm an average kid in the school, I see that kind of work, jobs out in the area and community service, things to do. And, just like simple facts, like 80% of kids haven't gotten drunk in the past month. Like, that's good to know. And there's actually other things you can do instead of going on social media and getting into drugs and alcohol. There's jobs, there's community service, and I think it's good when they see it from the older kids and they're like, you know what, let me go over to Uno and see if they do have that job. So 2 questions actually. One is, would you say more kids are kind of joining the this committee, like since the beginning of the year?
Absolutely.
Yeah. We've actually, the club, our club has grown at least 10 members from last year. Last year, our high school club was around 15, 20 people, and we've definitely had meetings where we've had over 30 people at that club. So I think more people are trying to get involved, which is a really good thing.
Excellent. And then the second question I had was, you guys ever try any kind of mock interviews or public speaking type of things as far as resume building and for jobs?
Yeah. So actually this summer we spoke at the Middlesex District Attorney's Office regarding vaping and other devices such as that, and how adults can get their youth action team program involved in their community. So that was one of the events we spoke at.
Excellent.
Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Mr. Moore?
Thank you. So, you guys, first of all, you've got some big shoes that you're filling, especially with how impressive the Galvin kids are. They're looking up to you. No, it's a compliment to you, but also to them. Certainly the outspokenness and the passion that is obvious in the work that you do and how you're explaining it really speaks that you're trying to make a difference. And I don't really have a question, but a couple comments. And the comment is that you are making a difference. It may seem incremental. It may seem non-existent. It may seem isolated. It may seem that you're beating your head against the wall sometimes when you're passionate about something and you work really hard at something, and then Monday comes and it's still there. And it's going to be like that, and it's going to be like that for a while. And I'm not trying to be negative. I'm trying to be incredibly reinforcing that the work that you're doing is incremental. The world that you're changing is yours, and it's going to be a much better world where you're creating some world citizenship and some global citizenship that is far more impressive and important than the world in which we live in now. I certainly missed Liakos's comment earlier about lots of differences, lots of anger, lots of frustration, lots of hate going on in our world, in our country these days, and the type of things that you're doing, however, very important, but maybe it's the walls of Wakefield High School, and then it's the town boundary of Wakefield and Middlesex County, and as you grow, you're going to be seeing these incremental steps. So even if it seems like it's slow and methodical and not happening, it is, and that is very, very meaningful. And if you guys take this love and passion for what you're doing now and continue, we're going to have a very, very different world than we do now, and this is a great place to start. So. Thank you so much for this. This is big.
Thank you.
Good job.
And I just have one final point. I think you guys call it
The bathroom buzz, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are up all over colleges and universities around America, and knowing that a large portion of our students will go on to matriculate to a college and university, it's nice knowing that kids from Wakefield who go to those schools are going to be well aware of what those things are when they're hanging up, and they're going to know how to articulate what's on them. They're going to know how to engage in conversations with their peers around them. Because this leadership certainly does not stop when you graduate. It's needed, as everybody has said, well beyond. So knowing that that we've got leaders who are starting that, knowing that we've got students who are going to be aware of that as they move on, makes Wakefield look awfully great. So we thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you so much for spending time with us. You are truly our hope and inspiration for the future. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
So really, really almost a connected piece is that I did an update on my goals for this year based on a recommendation by Mr. Liakos a few weeks back about maybe adding a social, emotional, and health learning goal since we have a new strategy, and specifically in a kind of response to the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. So I gave it some thought. I talked to the Galvin and high school leadership teams, and they helped really identify from the YRBS what they wanted to do to continue improving school climate, creating increasingly respectful, welcoming, and safe schools for all kids. And at the same time, the MCAS school climate data came in, which I put in your packet. Now, that's pilot data. That was a pilot survey. So it's really preliminary, but it's a good baseline. And I think there was some positive results that you could see in that survey. But it gives us another data point in addition to the YRBS to look at to see how some of the initiatives are going. The Galvin leadership team identified bullying as their target school climate measure. The YRBS data, if you recall, from 2017 indicated that 209 students had said that they had been bullied at school, and 141 students said that they had been bullied electronically. So I think, the Galvin leadership team was alarmed at that rate, and one of the things that we do know sometimes about those data points, and I think we discussed it, was that they're doing so much work around bullying and so much proactive work that sometimes kids are a lot more aware. They're able to name it. So sometimes that can actually spike your data. But regardless, it's really, really important to them to create a safe school climate. So the Galvin leadership team with these fantastic young leaders really taking that on and doing some proactive work. And Principal Colantoni's still here, so if you have any questions specifically to that, I'm sure he wouldn't mind talking about that. At Wakefield High School, the administration identified protective factors, trusted adults, as a key target school climate measure. What they were really responding to is the YRBS data indicating that, that the students having at least one teacher or adult to talk to had dropped from 75% in 2014 to 65% in 2017. It was something they were really concerned about. I was really excited to see in the Youth Action Team faculty flyer that they addressed that explicitly, just really kind of asking adults to connect with them and how you can do that and why it's so important to kids. I was just so pleased to see that, Maya. Great job with that. But that was one of a number of different things that they're doing. The high school faculty and staff and Youth Action Team, Diversity Leaders, and Human Rights Commission to really make those connections, to increase the protective factors. So I articulated a goal around that, and I'm going to be working and partnering with our school leaders to look at those particular data points. And as you look at benchmarks and measuring, I think we can continue to look at our YRBS data and our MCAS school climate data to see if some of those numbers are making a change. But certainly seeing the students tonight would give us, I think, all a great deal of hope. And then finally, the other piece, I did make one tweak under the standards, the target elements and evidence under community and business engagement. I highlighted that for you. The reason I did that is the goal was to partner with the Chamber of Commerce to identify some partners. I think that's still a great idea and would like to do that, but at this time, the Chamber has not selected their director yet, so that's kind of been stalled. So I wanted to kind of keep the initiative going. So just I was really thinking a lot about local community business partners, and so we're just doing outreach to different partners in the community, and some really nice things are happening, which I can report out at my mid-cycle review. But just took a little bit of a change so that I could really get some traction with that. Yeah, Rotary would be a nice group. Specifically, we are looking for community and business leaders that can connect directly to our curriculum, and that might be a group to look into. And we've been able to identify other partners as well. So I can report back on that. But really the big change here was to add that goal, district goal number 3, around really responding to the YRBS data. So I don't know if anyone had any questions or thoughts that they wanted to share on that.
Anything on that?
Just thank you. I appreciate it, and I hope it was a good exercise to add it. And yeah, I think given what we heard tonight, reinforcing the importance of the set of goals. Yeah.
And just one thing, the last time you presented your goals, we did ask for a motion to approve them. So I think for consistency's sake, we might as well right now, I'll just ask, is there a motion to approve the superintendent's updated goals as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Anything else on this? All right, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So the next pieces in your packet are just things I wanted to report out on very briefly. One is you may have noted the civics curriculum proposal. This is really just an update from the last time, not long ago, we did a presentation on civics. If you recall, let me slide down to that. So what's happening at the state level is the Board of Education is going to be receiving a full draft of some social studies curriculum framework revisions, which features basically the integration of civics content at every grade level. So I thought you might be pleased to see that, as you recently had asked about that. And I listed those in your packet for you. It includes a full year civics course at the middle school level, but integrating the themes of civics really throughout just about every grade level, pre-K to 12. So I included that in your packets for your review. The next piece in your packet is the SEAM Resource Allocation Grant. I just wanted to alert the committee that Wakefield, along with Melrose, North Reading, Reading, Stoneham, Wilmington, and Woburn, applied collectively through the SEAM Collaborative for a resource allocation grant from the state. And basically, the purpose or the intention is to continue to make meaningful changes in resource allocation to support best practices in inclusion models or inclusive practices, which we're working on in the Wakefield Public Schools, and other districts are looking at as well. And so this will give us access to a data tool called RADAR, which is the Resource Allocation and District Action Report tools that the department is trying to roll out, and they really want some people using them and piloting them. And they're used to measure the impact of any resource shifts on your desired outcomes. So basically what we will be doing over the next 2 years is the money that was approved and allocated to the districts collaboratively will be doing some targeted professional development and coaching on universal design for learning and inclusive practices, hoping that that professional development will come back into our schools. And then we'll really be looking at how within our budget we can reallocate or shift resources to really support a strong inclusion model of education. So just wanted to report out on that.
Just a quick
Yes.
question, Dr. Smith. When you say that there'll be professional development and then you're hoping that it'll come back into the schools, I just wasn't quite sure what you
the
were.
professional development would be, we would identify educators, whether they were teachers, administrators, coaches, coordinators, that would receive the professional development with this cohort, and then they would come back, kind of a train-the-trainer model. They would come back and provide the professional learning within district.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I just heard the hopefully, and I was
Okay.
just thinking it was more of a, I would think it would be something we for sure want to happen.
Yes, it definitely is. I think
Okay.
it was unintentional language.
Okay.
Okay, and then next I added a piece on just more information on this targeted district review. I had called it to your attention when we were first identified as having the Department of Education conducting a targeted district review in Wakefield. I received more information, so I wanted to share it with you. I kind of copied and pasted some key elements just so that you're really aware of what will be happening. And there is expected school committee participation when it happens, so I just want to make sure you're aware as we're kind of getting at the beginning stages of it. So it lists the district standards and indicators, so they're going to be coming out and thinking about and looking at and reviewing documentation and practice around leadership and governance, curriculum and instruction, assessment, HR and professional development, student support, and financial and asset management. The first thing that has to happen is I have to submit a self-assessment, which is due in January. So I'm going to be preparing a lot of materials, and at some point I'm going to be gathering a team, probably mid-January, with a cross-section of stakeholders, and I'd love it if 1 or 2 school committee members might be willing to serve on that, just to get together, kind of review all of the material that I'm going to be submitting in regard to our self-assessment, get some feedback, and then that self-assessment goes in, they review that data, and then at some point they come out for an on-site visit. They haven't really indicated when, but I'm guessing it's late winter or early spring or something like that. They come out for a 3-day on-site review. It reminds me a lot of the accreditation process, very similar, and they'll be doing a lot of observations, and they'll be doing some interviews, and one of the interviews they've listed as a school committee interview. I don't know what exactly that looks like, or the when. Do they come in the evening? Do they ask if volunteers in the afternoon? That I'm not sure, but we'll find out. So just wanted to alert you to that, and then they ultimately provide us with a report and a publication of a final report to just give us feedback on our program. So it'll be an undertaking, but we can handle
I
it.
just want to know, when will that actually come? Will that be like in the fall?
So the actual report?
The report itself, yeah. Do we know?
I don't know. I don't know. It didn't say that timeline. So Mike was pointing out 3 to 4 months after the visit. I don't
After
know
the
when
visit.
the visit
Okay.
is. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I think we'll get a lot more information. I just wanted to kind of just preview that it's kind of a coming soon. And then I think we already heard about this from Kaya, our student rep, but I was just so proud to hear about the AP honor roll. So I included that in your packet. It really indicates that we are increasing the number of students participating in AP while increasing or maintaining the percentage of students earning a 3 or higher in terms of their scores. So I included that information in your packets as well. So really happy to hear about that. And then the last piece on my agenda is the statement of interest for Wakefield Memorial High School. We did not make it into the MSBA partnership in 2018, which was disappointing. They called me last Friday afternoon, the Mass School Building Authority, as a courtesy call before the letters went out. The letters came out, I think it was yesterday, and I mailed it to you, I believe, today, so you could take a look at the official letter. But basically what they told me on the phone is that there were 83 statement of interests from 59 different districts that came in. They narrowed it down to 44. We did make that first cut. We were in the 44. But then they said it really, the language that the representative used was, it's like triage. At that point, it was the schools that they thought were in really the worst disrepair, prioritize those, and is it just a finite amount of money? And so we did not make it into that to that piece. But she just reiterated that they really recalled the site study here. They remembered it well. They thought it was one of the better educational programming presentations that they saw. They specifically recalled that Steve Mayo was there. They just talked about it a little bit, and they said, please reapply, and we certainly will intend to do that. So just wanted to give everyone that update. As disappointing as it is, that is the news that I received this week. And that's it for me.
We will jump back up to budget items. Mr. Piffling.
I'm going to start by thanking Dr. Smith and Mr. Tiro for taking me out of order this evening to accommodate me. Thank you. The business reports in your packet are through November 30th and through warrant 23 of our payroll and accounts payable process. I'll just pick out the highlights here. Professional salaries, the first line. I just want to let you know, I wouldn't get overly excited. It's about a $7,000 number that's better than last month, but we did do a little reallocation of some encumbrances this month, so we'll watch that again next month. But it's promising that it's heading in the right direction. But we'll watch that. Substitutes and coaches. I'm sorry, extracurricular and officials. So lines 2 and 6 have now been encumbered. So those lines give us a better idea of where we are year to date, and it'll be good to watch the trends going forward. And then on line 4, the AIDS line, those are still trending negative, but it's because we just recently received the IDEA grant award, and we are expecting the Early Childhood 262 grant award, and there's a lot of paraprofessionals paid out of, especially the IDEA, and one out of the Early Childhood grant. So those should come back into line next month. Ms. Pond is working on that right now, getting those salaries transferred over. So that's it for salaries. I do expect that we'll be in the positive for January when we present again. Moving down to report on transportation, we are still watching that line very closely. That is special education out of district transportation. So we've begun our own in-district out of district transportation. We've purchased the vans, we've hired the drivers. We started it this month, so hopefully that'll start trending the other way at least, or hold solid. We know there's going to be an issue, but we'll watch that line closely. And on line 15, you'll notice that took a little bit of a dip, but that was because we made our final payment to the WEA Unit A, Unit B, and Unit C members who had tuition reimbursement coming their way. So that line should be now all postage. And then on line 16, just want to point out that number is negative. That is also where we buy all of our technology from. And I did sign all the lease paperwork last month for the 3-year lease on the technology. And we did receive the check, but not before the end of the month. And so that should be about $170,000 swing the other way. So that'll be helpful and positive. So some good news in the budget, although the special education, transportation, and tuition lines are still of serious concern for us. Any questions on the local budget report? And I'll skip over to the grant reports. Couple of highlights here. The third item, the 274 SPED Program Improvement Grant, we have been recently notified that we will not be receiving that grant this year. That's a $27,000 grant that only 74 districts are receiving, and they're probably the most neediest districts in that area. While I consider us needy in all areas, that only 74 districts are going to make it, and only those districts who are in the Making Money Matters program, and Wakefield did not qualify for that. So we'll have to look at some of the things that Ms. O'Neill was looking to spend money on in that area and reallocate or figure something out. So. And then on the 262 grant down below, we are still waiting, as I mentioned earlier, we're still waiting on that grant award. And the 298 grant, we're not sure if that's going to come out this year. It's a very small grant, but every little bit helps. So Ms. O'Neill's following up on those two grants. Any questions on the grants? Okay, so on to revolving accounts. Excuse me. There are three revolving accounts that I have not yet encumbered salaries in, and that would be the school lunch program, the cable access TV program, and the preschool tuition revolving account. So I need to encumber those. We have been paying out of them already, so the numbers you're reflecting are live to what we've paid out, but it doesn't give us a true representation of where we will either end or trend for the year. So I will be working on that through this month, and the January report should reflect that. Other than that, everything else looks really good. I'm very pleased with our revolving accounts. If there's no questions, I do have 3 payroll warrants. Payroll warrant number 18, payroll warrant number 20, and payroll warrant number 22 that I would ask the school committee approve.
Move the school committee approve payroll warrants 18, 20, and 22 as presented.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? All in favor? Thank you.
And we have a few gifts this evening. The first gift is $2,500 from the Wakefield Memorial High School Soccer Booster Club to pay for a volunteer coach for the fall season.
Move the school committee accept with gratitude the donation of $2,500 from Wakefield High School boys soccer for the volunteer coach for the 2017 fall season.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? All in favor? Thank you.
The next gift is another one of Mr. Brendan Kent's efforts. It's a $3,000 gift from the New England Patriots Foundation for participating in the Game Change program, the New England Patriots Anti-Violence Partnership Program.
I move the school committee accept with gratitude the donation of $3,000 from the New England Patriots Foundation for participating in the Game Change, New England Patriots Anti-Violence Partnership Program.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion, questions? All in favor? Thank you.
The third gift is from the Cummings property of Woburn, and this is to the Galvin Middle School to help offset the cost of some field trips for some of the Galvin Middle School students, and that would be Camp Borndale, Camp Nature's Classroom, I'm sorry, the Washington, D.C. trip and the New York City trip. So Mr. Colantoni will be able to help some families who are in need of support for their children to attend.
Move the school committee accept with gratitude the donation of $1,000 from Cummings property of Woburn to help offset costs of field trips for Galvin Middle School students.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Mr. Callahan.
Is that just something we applied for, or is that because of a parent, or how did we come about that?
I would love to say that I have an answer for that, but I believe it is a parent in the community. Oh, there we go. Mr. Colantoni's still here.
Each year they make a donation.
That's very nice.
Children in our school advocated that they make a donation.
That's very nice. Thank you. Okay. Sorry, I didn't know you were still over. And then
we just need to vote, Mike. All in favor? Thanks.
I'm sorry. And the final gift is a gift of $14,000 from the Wakefield Warrior Club to pay for some assistant coaches for the 2017 fall season.
Move the school committee accept with gratitude the donation of $14,000 from the Wakefield Warrior Club for the assistant coaches for the 2017 fall season.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, everybody.
And that clears my list. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Piffine.
Okay, subcommittee reports, finance and facilities, Mr. Callahan.
We did meet last Friday. Had a good meeting. I want to thank Mr. Piffling for updating the files, because I was concerned previously that we weren't getting a good picture because we had some unexpected expenses come in that really weren't showing previously. So I think the public will have a better picture where we stand and the issues we're going to be facing throughout the rest of the winter. I know I will be attending the presentations tomorrow afternoon at the Galvin from all the department heads. So the 18 budget is, or the 19 budget is, I always get those overlapping things. That process is started, and we'll be hearing what ideas are coming forward for programming for next year.
Thank you, Mr. Callahan. I'll now go to Ms. Fortier with policy and planning.
We haven't met since our last meeting, but I recall that I still have a little work to do on putting together a policy that we had spoken about and sending it out to the policy subcommittee that will then be back here for us to discuss.
Perfect.
As well. Yeah.
Thank you. Labor and personnel, Mr. Markham.
Thank you. We also have not met since the last school committee meeting. You may recall that 2 school committee meetings ago, we had a hefty volume of things that we had gotten through from the beginning of the year. One of the things that was on our agenda and will remain on our agenda was the renewal of the superintendent's contract. So that's obviously something that we need to have at the top of our minds.
Dr. Smith.
Dr. Smith?
You'll pass that to me. There's a transition for you. So in regard to the superintendent's contract, I wanted to provide early notice to the school committee and to the Wakefield community of my intended retirement date of June 30th, 2018. It's almost hard to believe that I am at the place where I am retirement eligible, because I've been an educator for 35 years. Which is the number. That's the magic number in education. And I started at 22 years old, right out of college, and I've been in the work ever since. So I proudly reached that milestone at the end of this school year. I am just so incredibly honored that I've had the opportunity to spend 32, the last 32, in Wakefield, and only Wakefield. And it is absolutely where my heart is. I've given my professional life, fallen in love with this community, and served it with everything that I've had. I wanted to make that announcement now in December to best position the school committee for next steps. I know how important it is to have the time and have the right timing. And I think you all know that all I care about is the future of the Wakefield Public Schools. So I thought that this would be good timing, so that as we come into the new year, that would give you the time, to do the work that you need to do, and certainly with my full support, to just start thinking about charting the course for the future, next steps. I do have a communication that will go out to the community tomorrow morning. It's already queued up and ready to go. But I do indicate in that, I'll just talk a little bit about my career here in Wakefield. I spent my first 18 teaching and building the music program, which was a great joy in my life. I'm still so proud as I look at the great work that Tom Bankert and his students are doing. I remember when I handed that program to him, I said, it's like handing someone your child, and he has just done an incredible job with it. But some wonderful years there, and then the next 10 after that, I spent as an administrator at Wakefield Memorial High School. I remain just deeply proud of the school. So 5 years as an assistant principal and 5 years as the principal. And then I spent the last 4 with just this opportunity to serve at the helm of the Wakefield Public Schools, really trying to work to continue to sort of our path to excellence. And then, I talk in my letter about just passing the torch. I just have such faith in the leaders in this district. Mr. Colantoni County right here among them, one of the great leaders of the Wakefield Public Schools and others, my Assistant Superintendent Doug Lyons, top shelf, and I don't need to name the rest, but there's a lot of great leaders at the school and teacher level, completely inspired by our students and the next generation of kids. You saw them tonight, and they're really incredible, and just the wonderful parent community. To see people like Catherine Dinger here tonight, I mean, the future is really bright for the Wakefield Public Schools. And then I thank the school committee, just knowing how committed this committee is and has been to the mission and core values of the Wakefield Public Schools. And then I finally just say that my love for Wakefield is for always, not just for now. And I'll always be the biggest fan, the hugest fan. So I'll be around to support in any and every way that I can. So, just wanted to make that announcement tonight and say thank you and kind of position us as we start in the new year for our next steps. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Okay. Excuse me. Future dates and agenda items. Our next meeting will be January 9th, 2018. School committee comments. Mr. Callahan.
I just want to thank Dr. Smith for, really doing the right thing and letting us know so early so that we'll have every opportunity to pick the next leader. That I'm jealous that you retire so much younger than I will, to step up and just do the right thing and give us the opportunity to make the best possible choices moving forward is really appreciated. And I also wanted to congratulate the Music Boosters for another very successful weekend running the annual train story. It's a long day. It takes many volunteers. It's their biggest fundraiser of the year. But it's just heartwarming to see all the participation between the many volunteers and the thousands of attendees that come into that train station, and all the little kids in their pajamas, and it's just a great day. So it went very well, and I congratulate them on a very smooth day.
Mr. Liakos.
Thanks, Rob. Just want to echo Chris's comments around Dr. Smith. Very much appreciate you giving us the time and the thoughtful reflections that will allow us to make good decisions about first your last few months here and how to maximize your time, and we will get the most out of you in the 6 months.
This motor never stops running. It will run until June 30th.
Yeah, of course it will. We know that, and of course to ensure a smooth succession, it's among the most important things we'll do. So we have a lot of reflection, a lot of work to do as a school committee, and of course. Just thinking about, the sort of the mixed news. I mean, I look at the tonight, the great data we get the great presentations we get from the students, and that great recognition on the AP participation. That's just so important, and at the same time, that sort of bittersweet news about the high school, knowing that we don't have the facility that supports the quality teaching and the quality learning that goes along. So another really set of important decisions for the committee, thinking about what we do now, so we don't have to wait another year before we make some decisions about the future of the high school. So reinforcing how important this committee is and its deliberations, and so that's it. And then, of course, wishing everybody a happy holiday and a happy new year. We get back together again 2018.
That's right. I do want to share my bittersweet, I guess, thoughts on Dr. Smith's announcement. I mean, it's been a short tenure with you, so I'm disappointed that I don't have more time, because I learned a lot about your ability to manage complex and sometimes competing interests, and you've really helped me to begin to develop sort of a bigger vision. But I guess the most important thing that I can think of when I think of you is that I'll always remember how important it is to lead with your heart. And I appreciate that very much from you. Thank you.
Mr. Massey.
I'm just going to echo everyone else's thoughts, and definitely sad and shocked, but good for you. Retirement is going to be fun. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to everyone.
I agree just with what everyone has said about thank you for giving us time to get through this process, and we'll save everything else for your last meeting. Yeah, you do. You do.
Mr. Markham.
And so begins a series of meetings about accolades, which are all going to be well deserved and certainly understated. But I certainly join my colleagues in expressing not only gratitude for the timeliness and the sensitivity to nothing but the future of Wakefield and the future of the schools, but I certainly mixed emotions for what has been nothing but your capacity to touch people and to really bring the best out of young men and women. And we're going to miss that, but you will have left that with each of us. So
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll just say it's even in Dr. Smith announcing her retirement, she's thinking about what's best for the Wakefield Public Schools, and that surprises absolutely no one. So I echo my thanks, and a happy Hanukkah, a Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year to all of the families in Wakefield. And with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'm sure we do. That's what we do every meeting. I move the school committee adjourn the meeting of December 12, 2017.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor? Thanks, everyone.